Hey guys, Jackie here, and as you can see we have a new little host with us. Everybody meet my son. This is Landon. Say hi, puppy. So I have not done a video in a hot second, and that is because of this. So I just want to update you guys. I want to tell you my story of what happened and just, you know, catch up a little. So Landon was born early. He was born at 35 weeks. So the last update I posted was 33 weeks, and I actually went into labor with him at 34 weeks, but it was 34 weeks and like 6 days. So by the time he was born, it was 35 weeks. So yeah, he was 5 weeks early. He was a little preemie. And when we brought him home, he was actually, he was 4 pounds and 14 ounces. You okay, Bubba? Oh. So yeah, when we got home from the hospital, he was 4 pounds and 14 ounces. He was just the littlest like peanut ever. But so, since I did not post a 34-week update, the only thing I have to say about 34 weeks was that it was extremely uncomfortable. Like, I don't know, just everything I did was so uncomfortable. I had extreme heartburn. Like, the heartburn was so bad. I had my shower. So my shower was September 3rd and he was born the 8th. So it was really funny because we had the shower, and the day after the shower I was like, oh my god, I cannot move. Like, everything just hurts, and I was just like so uncomfortable. Even the night of the shower, like, I passed out really early, but then the next day, like I said, I felt so bad. So the third day I actually, so this was the 6th, I started washing all the stuff we got, putting it all away, you know, getting rid of boxes, all of that. And so I did that the 6th, and then the 7th, so like the 6th I did that, and I woke up at 4 in the morning on the 7th, and I was like, oh, like, I have to pee. So I went to the bathroom and I peed, and I was like, I just feel so uncomfortable right now. Like, I'm having cramps. Like, this is terrible. So I went to go sit on the couch instead of going back to bed right away, and I was like, I felt like something like was like coming, I guess. So like I went to get a towel just in case, like, and I got a towel, and immediately like gush of fluid. So that happened. I was like, is that like my water breaking? Like, I'm not sure. So then it happened again. So it happened twice. So I came in and I was like, John, like, I think my water broke. And he's like, no, like, you're too early. Like, that's not what it is. So I was like, okay. So I go back out. Actually, no, I went to lay down, and it happened a third time. I was like, okay, like, this is definitely something. So I texted my friend who's a nurse, and I was like, hey, like, how can you tell if your water breaks? He goes, if you have to ask it broke, like, go to the hospital. So I wake John up again. I was like, yeah, we need to go to the hospital. So we get up, and we're like getting ready. I'm in the bathroom, and all of a sudden another gush. So I hop in the shower again, and finally we go to the hospital. And like, in my mind, I'm like, they're gonna tell me it's a false alarm again. Like, this probably isn't anything. Like, I'm just gonna look like stupid again, but like, whatever, better safe than sorry. So we get there, and they do like the test, and they're like, yeah, no, your water hasn't broken. And I was like, so what was all that liquid that filled up 4 towels? Which, by the way, the liquid is clear, and it did not smell like anything, so it was not like I peed myself or anything. So oops. You okay there, Mr. Man? So yeah, we get there. They told me that my water didn't break, so I was like, okay, so now what? So they sent me to do a sonogram, and they said that the water didn't break, and I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. And then they go, but you're gonna get admitted because you're 3 centimeters dilated and you're having contractions. And I was like, okay, lit. So they were like, but we're gonna try to slow down the labor since you are like only 35 weeks, like the baby's gonna be born right now, but we want to slow it down so that way we can give you a steroid shot, 1 today, and we want to give you 1 tomorrow. So hopefully, like, if the baby comes today, he comes today, but like, we're gonna try to make him come tomorrow so that we can give you another steroid shot, because at 35 weeks their lungs are a little underdeveloped, so they wanted to make sure like that his lungs would be okay. So they give me this stuff, they give me the steroid shot, and that's it. Like, we're just waiting and waiting, and me and John were just watching movies and like just waiting, and the pain really was not bad. Like, I wasn't, it was discomfort, but like I would not say it was painful. So it was very uncomfortable to sleep, especially, so I was pretty much up every like half hour or so. And so then again I got another gush, so I called the nurse in and they were like, oh yeah, your water broke. Actually, your water's been broken for 24 hours now, so we're gonna induce you so that, you know, we'll progress the labor. And I was like, okay, like we could have just done this from the start, but whatever. So they start inducing me. They give me Pitocin. What? You okay, mommy? Oh, sorry, was my hair on your face? I think my hair was in his face. But so they give me Pitocin, and I'm sitting there with John, and like they told me, they were like, don't lay down, like come sit in the chair. So I'm sitting in the stupid chair, and I'm like waiting for contractions or for anything, and I was like, you know what, I have to pee. Like when she comes back, like I'm gonna like see if she can help me to the bathroom. And I'm keep saying like, ow, like my shins hurt, like my calves hurt, like what, my legs like really hurt right now, and I don't know why. Like I don't know what's happening to my legs. And so finally, like I take the blanket off and my legs were huge. Like I kid you not, my legs looked like, I don't even know, it was like terrifying. So I start hyperventilating, freaking out. I'm pushing the button, I'm like, turn this off, like I don't want anything like injected in me, like stop, like I don't want Pitocin, I don't want the antibiotics, I don't want the liquids, like stop it all. So they come in and they're like, no, we can't stop it, but like we'll stop like as much as we can, like just lay down, like we'll get you some ice. So I'm like having a meltdown over here, like hysterically crying over my poor legs. And so John and I just put another movie on, and they kept the Pitocin going. And again, like I wasn't having like painful contractions at all, but the machine was saying that I was having contractions, but I didn't really feel them. So then finally they got me an epidural, because they were like, you know, just get it as early as you can so that you're not in pain. So I get the epidural, and like not even like 10 minutes later, or at least it felt like 10 minutes later, they came in and the doctor was like, yeah, your water's been broken for like over 48 hours now, or 28, whatever, however many hours it was, and you know, it's a risk for the baby could get an infection, so we need to do a C-section. And if you've been watching my videos, I initially wanted a C-section, just a scheduled C-section. And you okay, Mr. Man? There you go. So I wanted a C-section, and I decided against it just because it freaked me out that the procedure took half hour to 45 minutes, because I was like, well, once the baby's out, what are they doing? Like that freaked me out. What are you doing, Ma? So yeah, and everyone was telling me it's a major abdominal surgery, like you don't want to do that if you don't have to. So now they tell me you need to have a C-section, and now at this point I've already freaked myself out about having one. So I start crying, I'm hysterical. From the time that they told me that we needed to do a C-section to the time the baby was out was maybe 7 minutes. It was crazy. They got me in the operating room on the table, and what do they call that? Amnesia? Not amnesia. The anesthesia. They had the anesthesiologist come in. It was, the baby was out like so quick. And so they showed us him, but like we didn't get to do the skin to skin, which I'm still very, very upset about. I was watching the Kardashians the other day, and I saw like Khloe doing the skin to skin with her newborn, and I actually like was very, very upset because we didn't get to do that. I'm honestly very thankful and grateful that he's here and healthy and that I'm healthy, but I just do wish that we got to do that. So they let us get a picture with him, which I'll put the picture right here because it's cute. We got some pictures with him, and then they took him to the NICU. Then they put me in like recovery, and I kept saying, I just want to see the baby, like I want to see the baby, and they were like, yep, you just need to be in recovery for like, I think it was 30 minutes or a half hour. They're like, can you feel your legs? I was like, yes, I can feel them, let's go, like let me see my baby. And so we get to the NICU after I was in the recovery, and I was like, I want to hold him, I want to hold him. They're like, tomorrow you'll get to hold him. And like the poor little guy, he had like tubes and oxygen and everything, and like it was just like so overwhelming. So they bring me back to the room, and I just passed out because I was on so many medications and stuff that I shut my eyes and that was it. I was out. So the next morning I finally wake up. I'm so excited to see the baby. I called my mom. They came in, they took my vitals, everything was good. And all of a sudden I couldn't breathe. Like I felt like I couldn't, I'm like getting a little PTSD just talking about this. But I couldn't breathe. And I like pinged the nurse and they were like, you were just fine. And I was like, I can't breathe. And they took my like oxygen and it was at a 60, and they were like, is this like working right? Because if you were at a 60, you should be blue. And like they called in like the lung specialist. I don't know what they're called, but they called in the lung doctor, and all of a sudden the room is flooded with doctors and nurses, and I was like, oh my god, what's happening? They had me on oxygen and they're trying to put an oxygen mask on my face, and I was like I can't breathe, like take it off, take it off. So John actually had to hold it, like, what? You okay? He had to like hold it over my face. Yeah, you want this? So there's all these doctors. John's holding the mask over my face because I'm getting so claustrophobic that they're putting this mask on my face, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. So they left the oxygen tube in my nose, and then he was holding the mask, but not so it wasn't like on my face. It's like I could still breathe regular air. And so they rushed me to a x-ray, a CAT scan, or an MRI, whichever one's like that like circle one. And I'm freaking out at this point. Like they're taping the mask to my face. I'm hysterically crying like, where's John? They wouldn't let him in the room with me. And they're doing these sonograms, and not sonograms, x-rays, and I'm just like freaking out. And up until that point I had been pretty calm, and that happened and I just lost it. So they did the x-rays, they brought me into critical care, and they started shoving these like things up my nose, putting IVs like in my arms, and like I'm just like hooked up to all these things. And this is literally not even 24 hours after I'd given birth, and so I was just having such bad anxiety. I was hysterical. I was like, I want to see my baby. And so they wouldn't let me see the baby. They wouldn't let me out of the room. They wouldn't let me take off the IV or anything. I had things like up my nose, like tubes everywhere. It was just like the scariest thing I think I've ever been through. So after they found out that it was congestive heart failure, and I had water in my lungs, and so you okay, little guy? I'm gonna put him down. So yeah, they told me it was congestive heart failure and there was water in my lungs. And so they had me on nebulizer every like half hour. I had to do like nebulizing treatment and all these awful things. And so they would not let me see the baby. So I sent John a few times to go check on him in the NICU, but he like didn't want to like be there without me. But at the same time I was like, go be with the baby. So it was really hard for both of us. And so I was in critical care for over 24 hours. So I didn't even get to see Landon for the first 24 hours of his life. Like I was MIA. So finally the next day, the nurse wakes me up in the morning and she's like, we're gonna get you to see your baby, which I like was so happy. I like started crying because they kept telling me, you're just gonna be discharged from here and you're not going back to the postpartum wing. Like that's it, you're just gonna go home. And I was like, but I haven't like received any postpartum like care or like instructions or anything. So yeah, she goes, we're gonna get you to see your baby, we're gonna get you back to postpartum. And I was like, really? Like I was sobbing, I was so happy. And so it did take half of a day to get me back there, but finally I got back. I went and saw the baby, and I didn't want to hold him without John because he waited for me. So I just went and I talked to him and I looked at him, and then once John got there, we went and we held him and we sat there, we fed him, and we just like spent what felt like the whole night there with him. And it was just like the most magic. I'm gonna cry right now. It was like the best thing that's ever happened to me, and it's funny because it was right. It was like the best thing sandwiched with the worst thing, but it was also worth it for that little guy. He just has my heart, and he will always have my heart. I'm just like the luckiest mom ever. And so yeah, we were with him in the NICU, and he was doing really well. He was off all the oxygen and the feeding stuff. He was off everything. He was eating on his own, breathing on his own. The only thing they had like was the monitor to make sure his heart rate was good, and it was pretty good for the majority of the time. It's just like sometimes when he was eating, it was like he was eating faster than he was breathing. So that was like the only issue he was having, but like so grateful that that was the only issue, because a lot of babies in the NICU are unfortunately, you know, not as healthy, I guess. So they told us that he wouldn't be home. So I gave birth on Thursday the 8th, which was 35 weeks exactly. So they told me he would not be home for 1 week till Thursday. I went home from the hospital on Monday or Tuesday. No, I think it was Monday. So Monday I went home, and then me and John went back to feed him twice, because when your kid's in the NICU, you can go 24 hours to see them. So he was fed every 3 hours. So we went at like 6 and 9. Then the next day, my dad was home with me, and so he drove, because after a C-section you cannot drive for, they told me 2 weeks, and then at 2 weeks they said you could drive locally, and now like since it's 6 weeks I could drive fully. But I'll talk about the C-section recovery like later. But so my dad drove me, and I fed him at 12:30, and then I went back at 3 or 12:03, and then we went at 6, and then the next day was Wednesday, and so no wait, yeah, was Wednesday. So Wednesday I went in at 12:30, and they told me like, good news, he's coming home tonight. Like, he just had his circumcision, he's doing really well, he can come home tonight. And I was like, oh, like it's like 1 day early. So I left, and I made my dad drive all the way to like the other side of Long Island to go to the only Bye Bye Baby that's left open here. He's being a little fussy back there, but he needs to go to the bathroom, and he's been having trouble with that just because there's a lot of iron in the formula, which again I will talk about later. So I made my dad drive all the way to the other side of the island because I insisted on having the Owlet sock, which this is what it is. And it's a little sock that you can put on their foot, and it tells you their heart rate and their oxygen level, so that way, you know, if something's wrong, it'll alert you. So I insisted on having that because he was in the NICU, and because he was having issues with his oxygen while breathing, and like let me rephrase here. He was having issues with oxygen while breathing. While eating. Oh my god. He was having issues with breathing while he ate. Yeah. So I just wanted to have that, just so peace of mind, honestly. So I went back at 6 with John. We went back, we put him in his little car seat, and we took him home, and we surprised my family because they didn't know he was coming home. They thought he was coming Thursday, and so everyone was just so happy. I'll actually put a little video right here of us bringing him in, and the dogs were so confused, and to be honest, the dogs still don't really I think they're still kind of like, what's going on? They'll like sniff him, or like sometimes they'll lick him, but they won't like interact with him really. I was saying, imagine but we brought him home, and it was just so happy when we brought him home. He was 4 pounds and 14 ounces. When he was born, he was 5 pounds 4 ounces, but it is normal for a baby to lose weight before they, or lose weight after birth, and then they like gain back to birth weight. So he was 4 pounds 14 ounces when we brought him home, and then a few days later when we took him to the pediatrician, he was 4 pounds and 15 ounces. So he gained 1 ounce, and so he was just the perfect little boy. He came home, he slept no problem, but me being a first-time mom, I was a nervous wreck the first night. I didn't sleep. I stayed up the entire night staring at him through the bassinet, which our room and our whole like space is upstairs in our loft, as I mentioned, and I could not go up and downstairs because I just had a C-section. So I was staying in our guest room downstairs, so we had to bring the bassinet and bring like half of his stuff downstairs, which was really inconvenient, but it's what we needed to do to, you know, it's what we needed to do. So we brought him downstairs and I slept down there and John slept upstairs, because the way I needed to sleep for the C-section recovery was like kind of like sitting. So I put my pregnancy pillow and then I put stacked pillows like up, so like I could kind of be in a seated position while sleeping. So that pretty much took up the whole bed. So that was how I was sleeping the first like week or two. The first week or two were really rough, not gonna lie. Like as soon as I had the C-section, when they were like rushing me department to department and like CAT scan, this x-ray, sonogram, so when they were doing all that, they kept switching me from like bed to table to bed, and I was in so much pain. Like it literally just hurt for them to move me. It was excruciating pain. And that night that I was in the CCU, I was in the most pain I think I've ever been in. It was awful. Yeah, it was just the worst abdominal pain internally. It just felt like severe, like excruciating cramps. It was terrible. But, you know, thank God we were past that. But so yeah, C-section, we had to stay downstairs. So the first night we were there, and I obviously had to wake up and change him every 3 hours, and then when I changed him he would eat. So I changed him, we ate, everything was good, but I was in so much pain because the incision, it's very hard. Well, for me it was very hard to like turn, get out of the bed, pick him up, change him, feed him. Like to get up and down that many times was really painful. It still is, like even at 6 weeks, like it hurts to like bend, and like even like with him like getting out of the bed and into the bed, it's like doing weighted Russian twists and it hurts so bad. But yeah, so that first night I did it all by myself, and that was a huge mistake. So the next night my mom helped me, thank God. Like my mom and my dad and my sister are here, because I don't know how new parents do it on their own. I guess like obviously John would help, which he wasn't able to because he was up here, and like if I called him he would definitely come, but he's such a heavy sleeper that in order to wake him up, it's just like not even worth it, especially like from downstairs. Like even if I called his phone like 10 times, he probably wouldn't hear it. Yeah, so that like was how it went the first few weeks. My mom would help me during the nights, and then, you know, I was just home with the baby, and that was kind of it, you know. As like a newborn, he was so well behaved. I mean, he's still a newborn, but like the first like week he was so quiet. He didn't cry at all. Like the only time he cried was when I was changing him. He like, even now he does not like to be naked. Like that's, he feels exposed. So that was really the only time he would ever cry. Now, like I said, he's been having some issues going to the bathroom because the formula does have iron in it. So he cries when he is, you know, trying to go. But other than that and being changed, he doesn't really cry a lot. He's a very, very good boy. Like, I couldn't be happier with him. It's just crazy because like he was only supposed to be born a week ago and he's already a month and a half. Like, it's crazy. I feel like just yesterday he was born and now he's 6 weeks old. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So now he cries a little bit more. He does like to be held more, which we're trying not to get in the habit of, but we looked online and it said that you cannot spoil a newborn. Like, it just like doesn't matter. Like once he hits a few months, then that's when like they start to associate what's happening. So right now, if he cries, we just pick him up, we soothe him, and then we put him down. We've been starting to do tummy time. He doesn't like it. He literally, the other day I put him on the mat and he just went to sleep. And I was like, dude, you're supposed to be working on your head strength here, your neck strength. And he just fell asleep. And I was like, just like, that's my boy. But yeah, tummy time, we did his first bath at like 3 weeks old. So at this point he's gotten like 3 or 4 baths. And he loves the bath. He loves, which I'm surprised because he doesn't like being changed, but he likes the bath. So he loves being in the tub. He loves the warm weather. He loves the warm water. Guys, clearly post-pregnancy brain is like, whew. Post-pregnancy, postpartum. Let's talk about that for a hot second. Actually, you know what? Let's finish talking about the baby. So yeah, up till now, he is actually starting to hold his own head up. He tries to hold his own bottle, which like, he's been doing that since he was like 2 weeks old. Holding his own bottle. Like, I'll put a picture right here. So funny. He literally like, he's ready to eat. All he likes to do is eat. Like, we'll feed him and he's still hungry for more. And I'm like, where do you get this appetite? Last time we took him to the pediatrician, he was 7 pounds and 12 ounces, which was like a week or 2 ago. So I'm assuming now he's about 8 pounds. So he is finally in newborn clothes. He's out of his preemie outfits. He's completely in newborn clothes, and we are getting close to switching diaper sizes up to size 1, which is so exciting. He's a little short, so like a lot of the newborn clothes are very long on him, which I don't like, because then when you zip them up, I feel like it's like choking him because the zipper's like all like bunched up. But oh my god, I'm just like, it's crazy how fast they grow. And I never like knew that until, well, I mean, I guess I did, because like I had Benny and like he grew like all of a sudden he's 5.5. Like, what? Like, I just got you. But so yeah, that's what it's like being a new mom. As you can see, I am like a hot mess here. My hair is wet. I just got out of the shower. I have bags under my eyes. Like, I have no time for me. My nails, I don't know if you can see, are chipped. My nails are chipped. I haven't even gotten them done. Like, I'm just like exhausted all the time because I have to wake up. Basically, so I'll wake up at like, let's say he wants to eat at 12. Like, I'll wake up at 12. I'll change him, heat his bottle, feed him, put him, like, I usually rock him before I like put him down, just in case he's like gonna spit up or anything. I don't want him to do that like while he's sleeping, because I don't want him to choke on it. But yeah, so like that all takes about an hour. So it's like I'm up from 12 to 1. I sleep from 2 till like 3 or 4, and then he wakes up and wants to be fed again. So I have to wake up at 3 or 4, stay awake for another hour. And so it's basically just like that. Sometimes like if John's home, or like my mom will take him for the first few hours, like in the morning, like from 8 till 12, so I can sleep. Yeah, so it's pretty exhausting being a new mom, especially being a first-time mom. So that leads me to postpartum. Postpartum is, it's been rough. So with a lot of people don't, or at least I don't know about a lot of people, but personally I didn't know this, that after C-section you still bleed. So like, I thought you only bled after a vaginal birth because, you know, you're pushing a baby out, but a C-section, they're cutting you open. So I was like, obviously bleeding, and they told me like, yeah, you're gonna bleed for up to 6 weeks. And I'm like, so yeah, they told me up to 6 weeks, and I'm like, 6 weeks. So I'm 6 weeks today. The bleeding probably stopped about like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I'm still, he's trying to talk. I'm still having like discharge, so it's like a yellowy discharge, which is disgusting, but like that's what I read online is normal. So I'm just waiting for that to like trickle out, which it's almost like we're almost done. Like at first, when I first like had the baby, there were these like wee pad type things that like a dog pees on, but like smaller ones, and they would put that with like 2 or 3 pads in these like underwear that are like kind of like stretchy, but like not stretchy like conforming, they're like stretchy like comfortable. And so they would put you in that. And so once I got home, I was like, I don't need all this. So I would just wear the underwear with the pad. So yeah, it was a little heavy for that. So I went and bought those like period underwear, and I wore those for a while. And then I went to pads with my normal underwear, which was very, very difficult because normal underwear cut right where the C-section incision is. They do a bikini line cut, so it's literally like right there where your underwear line is. So I had to go out and buy tons of new underwear that were high-waisted, that weren't too tight, because anything really tight hurts. Not that it hurts like at the moment, but like as you wear it, your insides hurt. So I've been trying to avoid that. But so yeah, I switched to pads, and now I'm just using liners, and I'm hoping within the next week I won't even be using that, hopefully. So that's been postpartum healing. It's been rough. Like, the pain is real. I still cannot go up and down the stairs like a normal person. They say recovery is 6 to 8 weeks, but I still think at 8 weeks I'm not going to be going up and down the stairs normally, because I have like 15 steps to get up and down. So like usually I'll come upstairs, be up here for a few hours or overnight, and then I'll go down and I'll stay downstairs for a while. That way I'm not going up and down. The other thing, like I said, that really hurts is getting in and out of bed. So John's been helping me, even at night, like he'll wake up, give me the baby, I'll change him, feed him, and then he'll put him back. Because John is working right now, he didn't have like time off, so I do feel bad because he wakes up at like 5 a.m. and he does like really like physical work. So I feel bad like being like, hey, it's in the middle of the night, change him, like whatever. I feel bad even asking him to pick him up and like wake him up, but I need to, otherwise I'm gonna just set back my healing. But yeah, other than those two things, I feel like I'm pretty much back to normal. Yeah, I think those are the only two big things that hurt. Oh, the other thing is like lifting, but like, so like if I have to bend down to like lift something, so like we cannot put Landon in the crib because I can't lean down and pick him up. But I could put him in the bassinet because it's higher up, so I could just like scoop him. But like if I'm sitting on a chair like this and my dog wants to come up on the chair with me, I cannot pick him up, because the bending is just not fully back yet. Even just to bend down myself, like if I drop something, I usually like have someone else pick it up because it just hurts, because like that bending is again right where that cut is. So it's like, I don't know, like I get nervous that the cut's gonna like split open, even though I think it's healed enough that it wouldn't do that, but it just freaks me out. But I've also, another thing that I've had really severely is postpartum anxiety. It's not postpartum depression, it's anxiety, like full-on anxiety, to the point that I stay up some nights just watching his chest move to make sure he's breathing. The only way I can sleep at night is if he has that sock on, and even then it's hard to go to sleep just because like I actually had to remove myself from almost every Facebook group that, you know, was expecting moms or whatever, because I was seeing these tragic stories that all had trigger warnings on them, so like nobody was in the wrong. I just read them even though there was warnings, and they were just like the saddest, like most heartbreaking posts, and I just was so, I still am so like just preventative, I guess. I'm just like apprehensive that I don't want that to happen, so I literally am like watching him all night. I wake up every half hour, check on him, go back to sleep. Like, it's just terrifying to think of like all the things that could happen, especially SIDS, which if you don't know what that is, because I didn't know what it was, that's sudden infant death syndrome, which basically means your healthy newborn dies not instantly, but like for no reason, which is actually horrifying. Like, I am terrified to think about it. And it usually happens in cribs, which is usually from suffocation. So that's why I have the owlet, to make sure that doesn't happen. Sorry guys, my video keeps getting interrupted, but what was I saying? Sid's terrifying. Like I said, suffocation, there are ways not to prevent, but like to be preventative, and that is to swaddle your baby, which we do. And let me suggest the Swaddle Me brand. They're like Velcro swaddles that I personally like the best. Some people like to do it with like a blanket, but I don't like that because I feel like it always falls apart. And there's some other brands, but that's the one that I like the best. And like, I wish that I would have asked for more on my registry, because if he leaks in the middle of the night, like his diaper leaks, it leaks right through the swaddle, it leaks right through the sheets. So I'd have to change him. So sometimes, you know, I only have 3 right now, and sometimes, you hear him trying to talk? He's trying to go to the bathroom. Alright, let me get him. So yeah, so swaddling is, one of the preventative measures you can take. Sleeping them on their back is a preventative measure, which we do, but someone over here likes to sleep on his side. So I always put him on his back, but usually he'll turn onto his side, which that actually makes me feel better, because if he throws up, he won't choke on it. But yeah, putting them on their back, having a pacifier is a preventative measure, because I guess they're sucking on something so they can't suffocate. So those are a few. I know there's a few more, but I'm forgetting them. But yeah, I've been doing all these like preventative measures. I actually even bought a suffocation like preventative mattress. It's a Newton mattress, and I'll put a link to it in the description, because it is breathable, which means that you can put your face right up to the mattress and breathe right through it. He's not sleeping in the crib yet, but once we move him over, I just will have so much peace of mind that he's not going to suffocate in there. Unless, you know, you're not supposed to put blankets or any sort of like thing in the crib, because they can suffocate on it. So like if you have a blanket or a pillow or just anything, even if you hang it on the side, like if you hang, right now I have his towel hanging on the side because it's drying, but if I left that there while he was sleeping there, that's like a hazard, because he can pull it in and then suffocate. Whoop. Wait, you don't want it? Oh, this is part of motherhood. Okay, here, take this, here, that. He likes his passy, but I don't know. There we go. He's got to latch onto it, and then he's happy. But yeah, so SIDS prevention, that's like most of my anxiety comes from that. Of course there are other things too, but SIDS, like, I'm losing sleep over it. But I would rather lose the sleep and make sure he's okay than sleep all night and wake up and something happened. So that's like my biggest postpartum anxiety issue. It's funny, the few days after, I was worried that because I had the baby, like, John wasn't gonna love me anymore. He was just gonna love the baby. And so one of the days was his sister's birthday, so he left for like an hour to go see his sister, and he came back and I was sobbing, and I was like, you don't love me anymore. Like, I've been having I'm so hormonal. Like the other day, John got up in the middle of the night to get me the baby, and when he gets up, he's like, he's still sleeping really. So like he'll say and do stuff and not remember it. Like he'll have conversations and not remember them. And so he picked him up and I was like, oh, like where's his burp cloth? Because he changed him last. He goes, I don't know. And I was like, but you had it last. He's like, I don't know where it is. And then he found it and he was like, ah, here it is. Like here. And like threw it at me. And I was like, that was mean. So like he woke up like maybe like 10 minutes later and I'm sobbing and he's like, what's wrong? And I was like, I'm mad at you. And he was like, why? Like, what did I do? And I was like, you yelled at me. He was like, no, I didn't. I was just like, I'm super, super emotional. But leads back to the SIDS prevention that I'm super emotional. And like, I guess you're still pretty hormonal because your hormones are like going back to normal. And yeah, so it's just so much fun. But yeah, being a first-time mom is definitely a toll on my mental health. But I've been pushing through, powering through, because you have to as a mom. You gotta take care of your baby. And so that's what you have to do. You have to put on your big girl pants and say, I have anxiety, but I'm gonna get through it. You know what? He is honestly the best little man I could ever ask for. Like, I originally was so happy because not happy, but like, I was excited because I really wanted to have a little girl. And I was initially like sad when I found out I was having a boy, but not like sad. It was just kind of like a, oh. And then like 5 minutes later I was over it. But I cannot even imagine having a girl right now because he is just so perfect. Like, I couldn't ask for more. I'm already planning our Christmas card photos. Like, he is perfect. And like, okay, so that's another thing that's like super important. At my pediatrician at least, if he gets a fever before 2 months old, he has to go straight to the emergency room and get a spinal tap. So I have been super cautious and I've not let anybody hold him. The only people that came in that held him were my in-laws, and even then I was a nervous wreck. And I let my grandmother hold him because she was having surgery, so, you know, I wanted her to meet her great-grandson just in case, but she's okay, she's out of surgery, everything's good, but just in case, you know, wanted to bring him over. So the two of them, those were the only people who have held him. And, you know, a few people have come and seen him through the door, and like, my aunt dropped off food for us, so she like saw him, but from across the room. But he's been super low-key. Like, I have not had people over. I've not really gone out because I just will not risk it. In a little less than a month, he'll get his first round of shots, and once he gets that, I'll feel a little bit better with like people coming over. But it's just super stressful. I'm stressed about it. If you're a newborn mom out there and you have any tips for like relaxing, please let me know. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was that I was so adamant on formula feeding. I was like, I will not breastfeed him. Like, I just want my boobs to go back to normal. Like, I want to eat what I want, whatever. And, ooh, you okay, bubs? So, yeah, I was super adamant that I was not going to breastfeed. But the second he started having issues with his stomach and digesting, I instantly said, if breastfeeding will help him, I will do it. So I've been breastfeeding him like once every day or other day, sometimes every 3 days, which I don't know how this happened. Like, I did not dry up at the point that, you know, that started happening. So I like breastfeed him every few days so I don't dry up, and I don't know if it actually helps, but I like to think it does, because, you know, I didn't really know what else to do. You can't really give them anything when they're so little. After we hit the 1 month mark, they said we could give him prune juice, like 1 ounce, so we've been giving him that. And my mom found these like drops that you put in his formula that we've been using. So that's been like, that's like the hardest, is like watching your kid in pain and knowing there's like really nothing you can do about it, which is why I'm like, here, I'll breastfeed, like whatever it takes to make you happy, because I just like, I don't like to see him cry. Like I said, he's a pretty good baby, so he doesn't really cry a lot, which thank God, because if I had a crier, I would probably have a nervous breakdown. I think that's like covers most of everything. My nursery is still not finished. I have a nursery video coming for you guys, like a nursery like makeover / tour that I haven't even gotten to do because my nursery is not finished, because I was supposed to have 5 more weeks. But honestly, like, these extra 5 weeks are I wouldn't trade them for the world. So yeah, my nursery tour will be coming once I finish. So basically I have a poster coming for this yellow wall right behind me. I don't know if you could tell, I moved the chair again, so you can see that that's like my bed area behind me. I have 3 prints for this wall behind the camera that I still need to order, but I'm just holding off because they're expensive. And then I need to do some cricketing for that wall above the bed. So we have a few little things to do, but it's mostly done. And we got so many things at the shower. Like, I am so in awe of how loved this child is. Like, we got so many things that were off the registry, stuff that wasn't on the registry. Like, I'm just in awe. Like, he is so loved, and like, he's just so fortunate, because I know a lot of kids like are not this fortunate. They don't get this much stuff at their shower at all, and like, he's just, I'm so grateful that he's grown up with like such great like opportunities and like such great things that, you know, he's still getting gifts. Like, it's 6 weeks after he's born, we're getting gifts in the mail, people are dropping them off, and I like just am so grateful. Right, Lando? We're grateful. I gotta stop doing that. I keep calling him Lando, and I don't want that to become a thing, because like, I love me some Star Wars, but Lando is not your name-o. But yeah, I think that is mostly everything I wanted to cover. If you guys have questions, leave them below. I'm gonna be doing some like newborn updates. I really want to do like day in the life of a newborn mom, the night in the life of a newborn mom, and like, you know, stay-at-home mom stuff, because your girl's a stay-at-home mom now. And we just got a new car. I got a mom car, which is the same as my old car, but basically John's car broke, so he took my old car, which is a Rogue, and he got me a new Rogue, so that way me and the baby are gonna be safe in a new car. And yeah, so everything is just peachy. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys next time. Bye bye.